Welcome Rogue Trader to a 40K 2nd edition battle report brought to you by the Crown of Command. I received an invitation to visit Will at his home to play a game with a local Gold Coast rival, Stu, in this 1500 point battle played over a nicely themed table. Drawing mission cards, Will got Guerrilla War and Stu with Assassins. Now let's look at the armies the guys would be taking today. Will's Imperial Guard army consisted of a captain and his personal bodyguard accompanied by a battle standard bearer, a Primaris Psyker with a psychic hood, an Eversaw assassin, 3 squadrons of guardsmen, a squadron of ogrins, and in reserve Will had a Lehman Russ, Chimera and a Hellhound. Stu brought his Nurgle army of Chaos Space Marines led by Lord Razak, with a jump pack, displacer field, cloud of flies, a power fist and a plasma pistol. His Chaos Mage's champion, Unzon the Unclean, had a force rod. His Dreadnought brother Vorath was equipped with twin heavy bolters, a power scourge and a combi bolter. He had 3 veterans with a las cannon, missile launcher and a heavy bolter, 8 Plague Marines, 1 carrying a plasma gun, 5 veteran Space Marines with Chade Swords, Plasma Pistol, Power Axe, Bolt Pistol and Melter Gun and a Power Fist, and 4 Terminators with 2 Reaper Autocannons and 2 Power Fists, 9 Cultists carrying hand weapons and auto pistols, accompanied by 1 Acolyte, and lastly 4 bases of Nurglings. 2 strategy cards were drawn per player, and reading by their facial expressions, I think they felt pretty happy with their draw. Last thing to do was for Will to decide where his Eversaw Assassin would be deployed. The Eversaw Assassin is literally a 1-soldier army on its own, with its combat drugs and ability to follow up and make secondary attacks made him pretty dangerous. Stu then placed his infiltrating Chaos Space Marine veterans within a forest, hidden in close proximity to the Imperial Guard command group. Psychic cards were drawn and Stuart drew a card from the Librarian and Nurgle decks in Displacement and Plague Wind. Will had 2 very powerful powers for his Primaris with the Gate and Lightning Arc. Playing Imperial Guard, Will had a preliminary barrage to launch using a 2-inch template, strength of 8 and a -3 save modifier that could cause significant casualties if it were to land on target. Much to Stuart's relief though, the blast had deviated far off target. After that initial barrage, Stu began moving his Chaos Horde forward, providing a wall of protection to the main army. After passing its stupidity test, the Chaos Dreadnought moved up into cover alongside the Carrion Prince Razak to draw a line of sight to the captain's bodyguard. After the veteran Chaos Marines emerged from the forest, the other squadron of veterans with heavy weapons opened up on the guardsmen in cover. With missile launcher and heavy bolters, the Marines focused their firepower on the squadron, which resulted in enough casualties to make a break check, which they managed to pass and hold their position. Brother Vorath opened up his twin-linked heavy bolters on the now visible captain's command group, causing several wounds, which were randomly rolled to determine who was hit. Will breathed a sigh of relief when Stu rolled a 1 on the d4, resulting in a single wound on the Imperial Captain. Banner Bearer helped to raise the spirits of the men to pass their morale checks. Stu rolled an 8 for this first psychic phase of the game, and seeing the potential threat of the Abyssal Assassin, cast his displacement power on his Chaos Champion Sorcerer, Uzon, the Unclean, to give him distance and safety. But Will thwarted Uzon's retreat with a successful Nullify. Will was eyeing off the prospect of summoning a lightning arc from his Primaris targeting the infiltrating Chaos Marines in range. Stu sought to shut down this potentially destructive power, but failed, rolling a 3. Lightning struck the first veteran, scorching his armor and felling him instantly. The veteran behind him also succumbed to the lightning arc, but the third Marine was left scorched but alive. The psychic power causing enough casualties to trigger a morale check and saw them fail, with Stuart rolling a 10 on 2d6. Will deciding to capitalise on this and played his first strategy card, Craven Cowardice, to see the veterans rout and not return to the battlefield, and drawing a close to the Chaos first turn. Will began his first turn looking to deploy his reinforcements in his armoured vehicles to the table. I was impressed with Will's miniature storage solutions on the day with his slide-out shelving units. He placed the Leman Russ in line of sight of Lord Razak and positioned the Hellhound and Chimera safely in cover. What remained is the Imperial Guardsmen moved up to help protect their captain and also to increase their lasgun range effectiveness. Will chose the combat drug Fury for the Eversaw to triple his movement characteristic and charged him straight into the veteran Chaos Marines with heavy weapons, which passed their fear test. The Chaos Terminators came under heavy fire from the Chimera with its multi-laser, throwing 3 sustained fire dice and scoring multiple hits on the squadron. Stu, now having to make a number of saving throws, felt pretty confident, with the Terminator armor giving him a 2d6 save, with a -1 save modifier, needing 5s. The heavy bolters on the Chimera sponsons managed to terminate one of the Terminators, with Stu rolling snake eyes. The Imperial Guardsman squadrons concentrated their lasgun fire on the Chaos troops closest and in range. But after Will having rolling buckets of dice, he only managed a single wound on one of the Nurgling bases and dropping a single cultist. But Will did have his Leman Russ with his formidable battle cannon in the sights of Lord Razak. A well-placed shot saw the Chaos Lord consumed in a ball of flame and debris. And with Stu failing Razak's Displacer Field save, his Lord perished and was consumed by fire. In the hand-to-hand combat phase, this was going to be a very one-sided challenge, with the Eversaw's 4 attacks and a weapon skill of 8, oppositions to Stu's encumbered heavy weapon support squad, which was going to be in a world of pain. What makes the Eversaw Assassin so effective in combat is that it can make several attacks in one turn as long as it can roll a 4+, allowing it to make a follow-up move up to 3 inches if it had killed its opponent. The psychic phase this turn was a mere informality, with both players opting not to cast and Stu storing a force card in his Magus' Force Rod. The Chaos Army, now seeing the relentless Eversaw in its back lines, sought to spread out and press the attack forward towards the soft belly of the Imperial Guardsmen. The squads that didn't run can now open fire on the guardsmen in line of sight and within range. Stu did cause enough casualties for one of the guardsmen squadrons, causing it to fail its break test and withdraw into cover. The close combat phase resulted in the inevitable and the final Chaos Marine falling to its death, and Stu thought he had a strategy card up his sleeve only to realise Last Gasp is for characters only. Thanks to the Dark Gods, the Eversaur was not within 3 inches of his follow-up move, so his massacre was drawn to a brief pause. In the Psychic phase, Stu decided to lead with Plague Wind, hoping to cause enough casualties to be able to summon Plague Bearers in Will's squads. Will, using a Nullify card to stop the power, failed in his first attempt, but as the Psychic Hood allowed him to re-roll, he passed on a 6. In reply, the Primaris Psyker wished to cast Lightning on the now in-range Chaos Terminators. Stu, failing his Nullify attempt, resorted to drawing the Psychic phase to a close with Energy Drain. Will, now looking to push the advantage, used his superior armoured vehicles to capitalise on a target-rich area for his Hellhound to exploit. In the shooting phase, it was time to fire a jet stream of Inferno. Will, rolling a 2 on the artillery die, had the template land within touching distance and resulting in one of the Marines consumed in flame, and the Icon Bearer burning but alive. And the Soul Guardsman Flamer failed to wound the resilient fire-retardant Nurglings. Some concentrated and accurate lasgun shots, however, did manage to put a single wound on one of the Nurgling bases. The Chaos Dreadnought hit by a template, all of its locations were rolled for armor penetration, resulting in Brother Vorath losing its legs in an explosion which saw it crashing to the ground. Will piled on the punishment for the Traitor Marines as he played the Bombing Run strategy card, which uses connected templates, and using a D12 it randomly determines the direction of the secondary blast, and so on. The Bombing Run left 0 casualties in its wake, much to Stu's relief, but the Eversaur Assassin charge on the Chaos Mages, Uzon the Unclean, the Pitiful Mages, was dispatched with sheer ease, leaving the Assassin to continue its string of follow-up attacks, which saw a Chaos Terminator perish, and the remaining Terminator, Bless Nurgle, as Stu rolled double 6, halting the Eversaur's advance. And with the Chaos Mages Unzon laying dead and the Imperial Primaris Psyker with no force cards, this turn we ended the phase to begin Chaos Turn 3. Flames consumed the soul of the Icon Bearer, leaving the rest of the Cult of Nurgle to ramble on, to close the distance on the fragile Imperial Guard line. In a last-ditch sacrifice, the Death Guard passed their fear check and charged in on the Eversaur Assassin, hoping to overpower and subdue this combat beast. And using his last strategy card, Stu had a Dreadnought in reinforcements that he placed and moved on as a counter threat to the Imperial Agent. With no shooting from the Chaos side of the table, we went straight into close combat, which saw the Nurglings just out of charge distance to the Imperial Guardsmen, so we turned our attention back to the heroic battle with the Eversaur. As the last Plague Marine body fell, the Eversaw moved closer to its new prey, the Chaos Dreadnought. With the Psychic phase underway and Stu with no mages, Will cast Lightning Arc, uncontested, which resulted in frying 2 of the cultists of Nurgle before scorching the 3rd and stopping the Lightning Arc. Will's swift counterstrike brought the Imperial Guard charging the Chaos lines, with Ogryns disembarking the Chimera and the Eversaw assassin charging the Chaos Dreadnought. By fire and Hell Fury, the flames and Ripper Gun ammo tore through the flanks and rear of the Chaos minions as they succumbed to their wounds. Now came the battle we had all been waiting for, as the dance of death between the Eversaw and the Chaos Dreadnought would begin. As the Eversaw was armed with a sword, he forced a reroll with his parry ability and was able to score a single blow to the body. With Will rolling a 20 on the d20 and a 6 on the d6 for his penetration roll, Will looked quite pleased with himself, with a further 6 to see the Dreadnought explode with a potential blast radius. Consulting the rulebook, models in base contact with an exploding model receive a d3-inch sidestep to avoid the blast damage. With Will rolling a 1 for his dodge distance, Stu rolled for the blast range, resulting in 4 inches. Will failed the Eversaw's dodge roll and suffered a wound from the effects of the blast. In the Psychic phase, Will wanted to cast a power but was met with a demonic attack countercard. Stu rolled for the effects of the demonic attack, and a roll of a 1 plus the level of the Psyker, which is level 2, minus the power level of the power being used, resulted in the Primaris Psyker being dragged into the warp, howling in terror. Sadly for Stuart, the Chaos turn 4, there was not much for him to do, so we went straight into Will's last and final turn. And Will's last actions for this turn resulted in all of his Imperials closing in on the remaining small warband of Nurglings and cultists, and ultimately taking them down and ending a bloody battle this day. Shaking hands, I'm sure these 2 battle brothers will be back soon to refight their continued struggle for domination in the 41st millennium. And in closing, if you would like to join a new global Warhammer 40K 2nd edition global campaign organised by Will and the team at Sustained Fire, then please head over to their website at www.brackarchain.com today and get involved. Thank you all for watching, and I look forward to bringing you all something a little special to the channel later this month, so stay tuned for that.